I feel like this goes without saying, but in the Deepwoken community, there's a few things you just don't do. First is to ever admit defeat in a gank, because I'll be damned if ever one of these young niggas get one over on me. Fuck, I'll call 50 people if I need to. Another unspoken rule is that you don't ever pay for the depths elevator, because fuck capitalism. I feel like the most important unwritten rule in Deepwoken is one that has like shaken mountains in the past though. One that has led to riots and death threats in the community. And that unspoken rule is that you just don't fuck with the PvE player's bag. We already know from the experience with the ferryman nerfs and the international outcry that came with that. And unfortunately people, I fear the reception on this video will be no different, because today we're talking about how PvE in Deepwoken, and more specifically Diluvian, is still kind of ruining the game. Before we do that, you should subscribe, because 100% of my subscribers subscribe. Super cringe and lame not to sub. You should sub right now. Sub now. But without further ado, let's get into the content. Last year I made a video called The Diluvian Mechanism Sucks, about how the Diluvian mechanism isn't really a healthy game mode in Deepwoken, and kind of how it just solves every single problem in the game with greater or equal efficacy than really any other method. And I feel like I can say with confidence that is the single best aging video on my channel looking at the state of the game right now. I hate that I have to say this because a lot of Roblox players are fucking children, but no, I don't hate Diluvian, and I'm not necessarily advocating to nerf it either, but I feel like it goes without saying that Diluvian was never really a healthy addition to the game, and it feels like over the past year this fact has only kind of become more evident. There's a few reasons for this, but let's start with the point from my last video that I believe still holds up the best. That point being, the Diluvian mechanism is an easy slot-in solution for every single problem in the game. Now what do I mean by this? Well, let's start by looking at every single boss in the game. First off was Duke. Besides the most recent combat relic that just dropped, Duke really doesn't have anything going for him. His loophole is outdated with a few goodish things in there, and there's kind of no reason to do Duke in 2024. Permadon drops a few legendary weapons, but unless you're really fiending for an Imperial staff, you'd be hard pressed to find a reason to do Permadon these days. Ferryman used to be good for relics, but recent nerfs have reduced him to a glorified ancient Rotlands angel that you kind of just farm for levels now. No one has ever done layer 2 floor 2 for anything other than medallions. No one gives a shit about the fucking loot. It's terrible. It feels like in 2024, every single last bit of loot in Deepwoken, hold maybe a few niche items, have been consolidated into Diluvian mechanism. Whether it's legendary weapons or relics, there is little need to do literally anything else. Even the main reason people do layer 2 floor 2, which was the knowledge, is easily solved in Diluvian because you get about 10 moon's eyes per run. For a lot of people who don't want to do multiple things, this doesn't sound like a problem, but I'm of the opinion that it kind of sucks for a game to make a bunch of cool bosses and even plan more cool bosses in the future, like a Kaido rework that's coming, and then make the only thing worth farming a really shitty wave-based game mode. That just kind of sucks to me, man. Like, I don't know, dude. My next problem with Diluvian is that it's just way too easy, which sounds like fucking crazy and insane to say a year later, but here we are. Now, people might hear that and think that, like, no, Diluvian is in fact not easy, but I'm here to tell you that it definitely fucking is. Now, to be honest, like, Diluvian itself hasn't actually gotten any harder, but builds have gotten a lot stronger in the past year. And now, what was supposed to be the hardest content in the game not too long ago is getting sold by Skipper Gripper and his disciples daily on a brand new PvE build that's just the same as the last PvE build. Now, PvE players can cap and lie and pretend all they want, but like, I know you niggas, bro. Like, the math isn't mathing. I don't think casting Tornado 50 times warrants you getting 50 idols, bro. That doesn't make any sense. Like, dog, these fucking PvE dorks found a way to circumvent the no mantra waves because they wanted an even easier time farming their infinite relics. You don't need like, you don't get to call a game mode hard when you are literally circumventing the things that make it hard. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm just English second language. I'm ESL, but like, spamming Tornado and pressing C on occasion just doesn't strike me as very difficult. My last real issue with Diluvian is how it seems to have entirely fucked up player expectations when it comes to loot in Deepwoken, and how this kind of makes it hard for the devs to innovate in terms of new PvE content. Diluvian loot is flat out too good. There isn't really a better place to spend your time as a Deepwoken player because the loot you get per hour is just higher value than literally anything else. And I fear this has led players expecting this level of rewards or higher for any new PvE content introduced into the game. And frankly, this is unhealthy. Let me give a very pointed example, the recent ferryman nerfs. For a long time, players were very accustomed to receiving at least one idol basically every single ferryman run. They were extremely easy to farm, and honestly, probably something needed to be done about it. However, when something was done, there was a widespread backlash from the entire community, even after finding out that the ferryman became a new elite spot to farm rings and new rare coats. and players were still dissatisfied. And why? Because it didn't offer exactly what they wanted at the rate they wanted it. And now how does this tie back to Diluvian? As it is right now, I believe Diluvian suffers from the old ferryman problem, and the only real difference is that I firmly believe the devs are way too scared to nerf it, because the Skipper Gripper coalition will take to the streets, and because of this, we get dungeons like Ceramide Hollows that just aren't worth doing because they aren't good enough. I don't know, dude. I don't even think they should flat out nerf Diluvian at this point, because players are just very used to having Deepwoken be a sandbox game, and also the PvE dorks will probably just lynch Archmage. But I think it's time to have a conversation about making Diluvian harder or just flat out reworking it, because as it exists currently, it's just very unhealthy for the game. I'm not opposed to the idea of a very rewarding game mode in theory. For example, like I loved the fuck out of the coil in Destiny 2 because that shit was very rewarding. But the difference is, I like it when you have to actually do something supposedly difficult to get the rewards. If one human being can solo a 5-person activity arguably faster than 5 people, that is a problem, and that is not healthy. Diluvian as it is right now rewards builds that are tanky and output a lot of damage very quickly, because all you have to do is kill a large horde of mobs. The modifiers add almost nothing to the difficulty outside of disabling mantras, which modern PvE builds literally just fucking ignore now. To be honest, there's nothing groundbreaking going on here at all that we haven't seen in Hell Mode before. This shit is just Hell Mode 2. If I were to rework Diluvian right now, I would make it infinite and endless and procedurally generated. Add more and more impactful modifiers that can actually make or break a run. And I didn't really touch on this in the entire video, but I also make it so that you can only solve the mechanism every 5 waves to further increase the difficulty. Because you don't deserve free relics and infinite relics just because you made a PvE build. I would also go back to having different bosses drop different things actually related to them thematically, because it kind of makes no sense that the Diluvian mechanism is dropping literally every legendary weapon in the game. It makes sense having the monkey boss drop the Sung Wukong staff. It makes sense for Duke to drop Curved because he's the wind boss. It makes sense for Ceramide Hollows to drop the new fire legendary because it's the fucking fire dungeon. There's a bunch of fire everywhere. What doesn't make sense is that Diluvian drops Storm's Eyes, Crypts, Curves for no fucking reason. Why does it do that, bro? Like, in a game with a massive open world like Deepwoken, there shouldn't be one single spot where you can get everything. That's just really very dumb in my opinion. The final thing I would change is just remove the passive knowledge drop from Diluvian. It's kind of pointless because you're already getting Moon's Eyes, and like, I'm already really just not doing layer 2 at all these days, so like, at least give me some reason to do it. I'm begging, please, anything. Etheron's just itching for me to kill him. It's been like a year. That's how I would fix Deepwoken's Diluvian mechanism problem. Tell me how you would personally fix it in the comments, or if you even think that's a problem. Subscribe, because it's free and I'm really trying to hit 3,000 subscribers for the Deepwoken content creator role. Peace out, and I'll see y'all later. Cut it, creator role. Cut it, yeah, cut it, subscribe.